for me, that's where concept trumps visual. So if there really is some like mind-blowing conceptual basis for this, then I'm like kind of on board. Like I'll be like, okay, like, maybe like the outcome, like I'm just like, what is this? But if there really is a strong conceptual background to what's, or strong social commentary or something like that, then I'm like, yeah, because I really do believe like art begins in the mind and then manifests itself visually. I'm actually like super into Mark Rothko right now. And I was reading some like little write-up interview thing on like stuff that he said and whatever. But like even his work, it's like just these, big color fields that like just seem so like simple and plain and like, this guy probably didn't even do a lot of work and whatever. But just like the emotive nature of those works and, the thinking behind it, the processes, the life that drove that work into being, then for me that carries weight and significance.
Yeah. And I guess, us answering the question on behalf of the whole art community maybe is a little bit much. But
yeah, that's like totally personal perspective.
One of the things that I'm interested in is and that's actually what I'd maybe like to get into a little bit more. Do you find that that's ever something that you sort of grapple with? Like, you find yourself in the middle of an artwork and then you're like, is this me doing genuine art, or is this me almost trying to put on a show? Because I always struggled with that. And I think it's because, especially in your earlier stages, especially in the fine arts, you need to rely on like copying things that are either people's styles that are a little bit more defined to learn the techniques, or you need to kind of use subject matter that already exists to actually train your eye. And so like I always struggled from a personal perspective to convince myself that I was actually making art rather than just copying somebody else. I don't know whether that's something that you've ever grappled with.
Definitely I have grappled with that, and I have like two sort of pointers in terms of how I don't want to say resolved, but how I'm kind of thinking through it at the moment. Is that like one thing, to your point, that I really struggled with, that like if I didn't take long to do a thing, then like it's not a real thing, or it's not real art. And I think also comes from like uni. We had like 8 weeks to do a project, and you were constantly getting like feedback and like reverts and stuff. And then like now all of a sudden I'll make something, and then after 2 hours I'll be like, it's beautiful, it's done. And then I'll be like, dude, like you only spent 2 hours on this. Like you need to work into it more. That's like what we always heard at uni. You need to work into it more. So I was just like, you need to work into it more, So just, then in those instances, I just take a back seat. Like I had this one that I had made the other day, and it took me really quick, and I was like, yeah, this is my jam. I love it. It's perfect. Then I just took a back seat, and like a few days later, I came back to it, and I was just like, dude, this is trash. Like you need to resolve, So just like giving yourself time and like thinking through things. And then what was the other thing I forgot the other thing I was gonna say. We would talk about like,
that's okay,
like looking at other people's stuff. Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, just like just taking a back seat. And also, I was gonna say just like if it means something to you as well, like was I just messing around? And even if you were just messing around and it looks cool, and you think, this could go in the show, like it's, compositionally, I think it's strong, whatever, then that's Gucci. Like don't overthink it, but also like what did it mean? Sometimes you'll make something and it like really means a lot. Doesn't necessarily mean, you're gonna put it in a show, or you feel like it's ready to go in a show. You might just keep it aside. And also just remembering that nothing happens in a vacuum. Everything is part of the process. So even if this is like not the greatest, it's gonna lead to something greater. So you just need to keep going.